All right. The male loneliness epidemic. Is it true? Is it really something that's going on right now? As a 38-year-old man living in Brooklyn, New York, I can say there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. You gotta let's define it. Alone is when you're in a state of being actually alone physically. No one's around you, you're by yourself. As of right now, I don't have any family. I have no children. Yes, I have a mother. I have extended family, but no one that lives primarily right over here that I know is my blood family I can grab and touch and live with and see every day, right? So I am alone, right? Loneliness is feeling like you feel disconnected from the people around you that are your friends, your family, and they just don't know and understand you, and you are afraid of knowing and understanding them, right? And you could be in a room full of people that you cool with, you trust, but you just don't feel connected. And that's where the loneliness actually exists for young men in their 20s and 30s, and young men in their 30s, and even older 40s and maybe 50s. But here's the main distinction. Men are getting this loneliness epidemic based on the connection with women. Hear me out when I say this. 50 to 60 years ago, before right when women were getting their rights, right? Men felt like they had a purpose. Go to work, earn an income, have a family, because that's what everyone was doing. That's how first world societies were structuring it, right? And that's when they felt their duty and purpose. 60 years later, we're going through the after effect, the lag effect of what this new society is now that women have their rights and ability to do whatever the F they want to do, which is perfectly fine. But now that sex will look at a man and say, hey, I don't really need that. I don't seek the feeling of wanting to have a family or having that type of relationship right now. That's not something that they really care about and pushing to want to have right now. That's fine. They are choosing to have children later in their early 30s, pursue other passions, and that leaves men that do want to have family and kids having to, I'm being honest with you, as someone who went through it, they have to wait. And they have to wait till that woman is ready. Well, here's the thing. If a woman and men are pursuing their passions, goals, and stuff like that, what happens is, for that time frame, men and women are just having intercourse with each other, right? Knowing themselves, right? More sexually deviant, if you know what I want to say. And I'm going to say this. This is the first time this has ever happened in human history. And I said this to my friend literally the other day. I said, it is unnormal for a human being, man, to have sex with 100 women in his life. Completely unnormal. If you take away 100, 200, 500 years, unless the guy was Genghis Khan or some kind of guy with imperial power, average men back then were not, or just men were not having sex with much sexual partners, because they didn't have cities like this. They had smaller communities. The connections, social, none of that stuff existed. So they would have small amount of sexual partners, and you would usually marry and deal with the women based on proximity. And I hate to say how there was kind of an arranged marriage where, you would sell off your daughter to the man who, maybe for money and stuff like that. That was a different way of thinking. But now we're here. Now. So women now have the ability of doing this. And now these men are going off of old software of like, all right, I'm going to go to school, get my education, or I'm going to not go to school, right? Go after trades, get an average job, be an average person. And they're like, all right, cool. I want deeper connection with the woman. And they're going to these women, and women are saying, well, I'm not ready for that, number one, because I'm still pursuing my goals, dreams, whatever. Even if they're more average women, let's say they're not even trying to further their education. And they're saying, well, I want somebody who's a little bit more ahead of me. Let me quickly explain. Right now in 2025, things have gotten a lot more expensive. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, it has. And it's definitely affected us. So you have women and men that are burdened with consumer debt, debt from education. They have to pay these enormous amount of bills. And because women are more equal now with equal incomes, and they have their own everything they're pursuing, they need somebody that they're going to cohabitate with, someone that they're going to marry, someone that they're going to be in a relationship with, to match them equally or even higher. Naturally, you would always want someone just a little bit more better than you. So if a woman is making $50,000, depending on your looks of you as a guy, she would want you to make more than her, because if something ever happens with a family, you have to be able to still take care of her and the children. So if she can barely take care of herself, let's say on $50,000, right? Even though you need to come together, she'd want to get a guy who can be able to take care of her if she steps out of work and still pay the bills, right? This is just the numbers of things. And men know this pressure, and they're sitting there saying to themselves, they can't fulfill it. It's very hard to sit there and say, all right, I need to go get more skills, more education, more all of this, and then get with a woman that's average like me and be able to provide that. And the guys just don't feel honestly they want to do it, right? I was raised to want to do that, right? But now over the last decade, the young men don't feel that way. So, and they're making different decisions. That's why they choose not to even get into the school market. But then now they're not in those relationships. Those women don't want them. So now they say, all right, they feel this sense of, okay, so what's my purpose now? I would like to date, but I don't make enough, right? Technically. Not saying you're working poor, but everybody's not going to be rich. But was it 70 to 80% of Americans are one paycheck from, pretty much not having any money? That includes women and men, right? No matter the race. So we're all poor, and we should come together so we won't be poor. But a woman would want better and more better than an average guy that's just like her. If we're both sitting in a room struggling, she'd rather date somebody outside that's not in the room struggling. So what does that cause now for those men? Because you have to, there's a distinct, they need to find themselves in integrity, who they are outside of that identity. Now these average men are saying, well, what am I supposed to do now? I can't really get in a relationship because I don't feel like leveling up myself or earning more money because of where their proximity, maybe where they live or their education, but they're limited and they don't want to do more. And then they're saying, okay, cool. I have family, I have my friends, but what is my deeper purpose? And they're trying to find that in their early 20s, and they still have a raging, testosterone. Testosterone actually have been decreasing in men in the last 2 decades, right? And they don't know what to do. Now, we can add on top of this the second part. They don't have male companionship with their friends or any male individuals in their life. Before, you can usually go to your OGs or older elders to help you through this. But the times that they lived in when they were younger isn't now. So their information is out of date. So they're telling you what you should do based on providing, having a family, one source of income. But that can't work now. And that's where it stops. These young men don't know, and these men my age and even older don't know what to do. They're trying to find their identity outside of the connection with the woman. And that is the problem. That is where we're trying to get men to try their best to have less impact of this male loneliness, right? They're really addicted to drugs, right? They're addicted to food, really bad food. They're addicted to porn, that type of way to release themselves. And all this stuff keeps you in a sedated state that you're never going to be able to overcome that. Because naturally, mentally, physically, you want a release. And it just sits there. And it sits there. And if you keep numbing it by shooting this out on yourself, if you keep numbing it by drinking alcohol and smoking weed, if you keep playing games and not being better in your life and putting something else to upgrade yourself, you're just doomed to sit there and continue to sit there. So the male loneliness epidemic is absolutely true because men don't know their purpose outside of a connection with a woman. Women understand that they have connection with their female counterparts and life outside of men. If you ask any woman, they'll have girl trips, they'll go hang out with their girls, they have community. These same men flip it. If we're born from single mother households, women are also telling us how they would handle things because we're kids, but we're men, so we're given the tools of how to be better in that from our mothers. But then when we go out in the world, those men that we meet are also told we're given those tools, but it's not the way we actually coordinate and interact with each other. It wasn't until the last 10 years that I built up a group of friends that I can go to an emotional level and open up and have vulnerability, right? And that took time because even they had to get out that box of being strong and being taught to be a certain way. Because it's funny to me that we teach men that men need to be strong, but then these same men were raised by women to be more emotional. And how because they remember, men mirror their parents. So if their mom is very emotional and carries herself more like that, that man mimics that. And then he goes out in the world and he meets other men who mimics that too. But then naturally we don't want to be that way, you know? And you do know. And it affects us. So stop with the complaints. What is the solution to any of this? Right? I'm 38 years old. I'm alone. And that's fine. Right? It hurts, but it's fine. I'm alone. Am I lonely? Right? That's the thing. I've built up myself to not feel lonely because I know who I am. I'm not afraid to speak it on a vulnerable or nonverbal level. If I'm going to be the man in the room, I'm going to be the first one to speak. I don't have a problem with doing that. And I found that in my identity. But there's 3 ways that you build up this so you don't fall for the male loneliness epidemic. And it's a way to build it, and you have to create it. Number 1, physically, you have to take care of yourself. From what you eat to what you drink, you have to moderate it. You can easily slip into the idea of drinking a lot of alcohol. I did it during the pandemic. Right? If you consume weed, you smoke anything type of drugs, the same thing exists there. You will fall for it and you will become part of the sheep, and that will be part of a ways of coping. So any type of substance abuse, you have to bring it down limit, or it has to be non-existent. That even includes food. Those starchy foods, those salty foods are amazing foods. I love it. But almost 15 years ago, I stopped eating hamburgers and red meat. I miss it, but I just didn't like how it made me feel and how it showed up because I can slip very fast. I still eat chicken, right? And some fishes. But you have to watch what you consume because it will affect you. Your gut health definitely affects you on a physical level. And if you physically feel terrible, you need to change that. Now, let's stick on the idea of physical. Also, moving your body. If you're eating like crap, you're doing that stuff over and over, you're gonna gain weight and you're gonna feel even worse about yourself, right? You're gonna have less testosterone in your body. Testosterone absolutely affects your emotions. It definitely does. So you have to be able to control that, and part of control is what you consume. But also, having movement builds up your testosterone. So you're gonna have to start walking, running, lifting, HIIT workout, high intensity workout, something that gets your body moving. Because part of that feeling that you have is because it's also being amplified because you have the lack of testosterone in your body on a physical level. When you start building up your body physically, when you feel down and you watch what you eat, you start feeling confident about yourself. You may not believe it, but it absolutely happens. Once you do that and you remain consistent at it, because results ain't going to happen overnight, no matter if you're a skinny guy, you're a fat guy, or you're a guy somewhere in the middle. If you remain consistent at it, you watch what you eat, you watch what you consume, you do that, guess what? You'll start feeling a bit more confident about yourself. But then what about connection? You do all that working out, you do all consuming, but at the end of the day, when you come in the house and you did all of that, you sit there and you think to yourself, damn, I'm still alone, which exists. But understand that alone isn't loneliness. You still feel alone. But what about the loneliness, Kevin? I feel lack of connection. Well, that goes into the second part. You're going to have to work on yourself. What I mean by that is if you need to hire a therapist, if you need to start opening up to some of the men around you that you do trust and having those conversations, elders, mentors, there are people in your life that are maybe open to that. And you have to show some vulnerability because sometimes someone has to start it off. There's going to always be men. The thing about men is we'll always help each other with what to watch out for. Hey, this is what I did. It affected me here. And they will tell you. They will let you know. Right? And don't think that because someone's younger than you that they may not have some more experience than you. That exists. So sometimes you may want to have these conversations with the people around you and just build those connections. If you're an introverted person, it's not going to happen because you have to get out that box to have connection. That's part of the loneliness. That's why you exist, because you feel like you can't connect with people because you want to sit in the house and play games and masturbate. But if you start with the working out part, you'll feel more confident, and then you'll start working on yourself and talking to therapists, talking to people around you, and just open up and having conversations with strangers, people you don't know. You'll start looking into self-help books, reading, writing, understanding. You will work on that too. That's the second strong leg you'll develop, and it doesn't happen overnight. But now that you built up what you eat, what you consume, your body that's working out, you feel more confident about yourself, right? You're not addicted to having addictions to drugs. You're working out your body. Now you're also talking to people. Guess what? You still don't have a woman because you're supposed to love yourself outside of that. Remember that, right? So now you start going into hobbies and things that you find that you interest, that you want to do, that you want to learn. That's when it really start to find out who you really are and understand that you'll have a routine and structure in your life that will bring you enjoyment. It doesn't matter if you have to travel somewhere alone as a man. You'll meet people there, men or women. It's going to happen. If a woman finds you attractive, she will come and say hello, right? The third thing I would say, all this sounds like a great idea, right? But notice I start off with your physical first and what you consume, what you could control. Then I spoke about what you read and what you learn to understand, and some of the things that you self-express yourself out with words, right? And also interacting with people. But the last thing is income. We live in a world where you have to buy things, right? What are you spending your money excess on? What are you doing with that, right? You can easily spend a bunch of money on food, but if you've already been watching what you're spending your money on food and you're cooking and taking care of yourself, well, you have that in order, right? If you're not eating out all the time, even if you have the income, right? If you're not overindulging yourself in ego or quick feeling of happiness, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy these shoes because they make me happy, or what is that, retail or shopping or whatever that is to get the ego boost, you stop doing that, right? You're not doing any of that stuff. You're watching what you're spending your money on. There's discipline in there, financial discipline. But also on top of that, what if you just don't make enough? What if you have 40 hours in a week and you're making $15 an hour in New York City, which is hard as hell? You are poor in New York City if you make $15 an hour and you are a grown man. You cannot have family. You cannot have children. And honestly, you don't deserve to be in a relationship with somebody. You don't. Because you financially can't barely take care of yourself, and now you want to date a woman and put that struggle and pressure on her. Understand, pressure is made for shoulders. You can put a lot of weight on your shoulders, guys. Not for a woman's hips. That's it. They're not built for that. They're not supposed to. So for you to want to attract a woman, they can need to see that you can be able to concretely take care of yourself. That's why I started off with the idea of connection of to a woman, finding yourself without the connection of a woman. You have to build all that stuff up first before you find a woman that best suits you in that. So financially, you have to develop yourself. 40 hours a week, you're making $15 an hour in New York. Your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. You got to stop. Get out of here. So you need to either go back to school and build up your education. I'm sorry. You need to go pick up a second job. I don't care if it's one of these jobs off an app. You got to do it, right? You have to be able to get that space in place. You have to save up money in your bank accounts and save up enough money that can survive you 6 months of your bills. Because when you'll come from a place of being worried that you can't pay that bill every month, it will show in your anxiety, in your confidence. It will affect you. The brokest dude could have the best looking face, best looking body, got all that stuff together, right? But if he's broke and got it, it still will affect him. But the thing about a really good looking guy is he'll still get access to women. But an average guy like most of us will not. So get your money right. Get yourself stable. Pick up a second job, because you could be able to work 80 hours a week. You already don't have a woman there. Why can't you? You have all this other structure in your life. Well, then take it on. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. And once you build up enough money in those 6 months, no matter if you got a better education, you pick up a second job, you're doing extra hours at your job, you've completed the three things. You got your money up, you got your mental up, and you got your physicality up. You worked on the three things that made you a better person. And this stuff could happen in 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. But it could happen. But the quicker you start it, the quicker it cascades into something better. You will be the better person that you were before. But with this loneliness epidemic, it's all based on self. Because we're supposed to try to find out who we are outside of identity or connections with women. And most men don't know how to do it because they don't have the tools. But there's so much information out there. Even these little tools with AI now. I keep saying this for like the last 20 years. All the answer is looking for is on your phones. It's one of the most powerful devices, and it all depends on how you use it. It will help you. And now we're in a day and age where there's no excuse to find that it's ignorant to sit there and think, not look for solutions. It's ignorant because the answer is out there. Don't go off what he said, she said. Go off of, hey, if the person has wisdom, that's one thing. But you can also go and look for some of those better answers out there online. Do it. Once these three men make the connection with these three things, these men, they will move better. That will happen, and you will find yourself in that purpose outside of that. If it's to help people, you help people. If you like cars, your interests, your hobbies, whatever it may be, you'll find that in that. And to be honest with you, majority of us are still average people, and that's fine. We're not supposed to be some rich person that we see on social media and try to live that life. If you are a modest person and you get a modest car, perfectly fine. If you're a person that want to draw high-end horsepower cars, well, you're going to have to earn a little bit more money to get that coin. If you're the type of guy who like, this is materialistic things. If you're the type of guy who doesn't care for anything when it comes to materials, but you care about impact with people, no matter if you provide some kind of care to a person, you talk to people, whatever it is, you go that route. Whatever it may be, you'll find that connection that's best suited. You have to work towards it. And I think majority of us are learning and trying to figure it out right now in real life. But the best way to do that is those three things, and continue to have discipline and consistency. And understand that, you don't know what's at the end. But what you do know is, the thing about women, I always respected them too, love them about, is they know that if they go to school, they get a degree. That's structure, that's consistency. They know that if they go to the gym, work out, they will look better and they will get smaller, right? They know that those are the things that they have control over. They apply for the job, they get the job. Guess what? They come out there, they get to a better space and place, right? They know that. The one thing they don't have control over is love. Men, we have the same thing. You go to the gym, your body gets better. You watch your money gets better. You work on your mental health, it gets better. Those are things you control. What you don't have control of is with love. But here's the thing. If men work on all three of those things, guess what? You will attract the people, men, women, family, friends, and even intimate partners that see that confidence in you. And it's going to take time. But a lot of men are afraid of doing it because they see on the internet that they want it instantly. You have to be monk mode. You have to be by yourself. You have to find that. It may be hard. It may be tough. You have to look in the mirror, but you'll have to do it. And it's a necessary thing for every man to do. White, black, straight, gay, religious, Christian, Seventh-day Adventist, Jewish, whatever they may be. You have to find that. It's going to take some time. And as a person that's going through that again in my life, right? But I have a lot more better structure and discipline with it. It's still hard because you're still human and things are going to let you down. It's going to make you feel bad. But you have to get through it. You have to continue to push through. And some days, you might just have to sit there and just be like, you know what? I just don't got it today. And that's fine. That's okay. Some people say push through it. I have. When it's the worst day, still go to the gym, still have consistency. I'm not saying take your time off from the gym and not stop going for a week or two. Right? But even in that, Can you take off a week from the gym and stop not going back at all? Because if you find comfort and stop being consistent, then you're never going to get to the outcome that you want. So ultimately, I'm going to close it off here by saying, yes, the male loneliness epidemic is real. It's not women's fault. They didn't do it to us. We're still on old software where we think should be our purpose, but there's new software. Everything has changed. The hardware has changed, and we need an update to the system. And we need to try to be honest with you. We need to try to get rid of some of the errors in our life and put some patches in it, and or maybe just upgrade the software completely. Build up those 3 legs. Become a better tripod. Because if you build up just one of them, one strong leg, the other 2 may not be able to bear the weight. You build up 2, well, guess what? You still got 1 weak leg. But if you build up all 3, that's a very strong foundation, and it'll be hard to topple it, right? And whatever may come your way, you'll be strong enough to stand strong, and you won't lean, you won't twist, you won't bend. You will stay firm and be steadfast. But outside of that, guys, you have a good morning, good afternoon. I appreciate it. Please hit the like button on this if this was a good information for you. I really appreciate it. I don't think anything will really come from this, but if it does, and it helped out 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, or someone who just learned about my mind, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day.